We're talking about the CEOs of Fannie and Freddie receiving 12.2 and 7.5 million in compensation in 2009 and 2010, respectively, to run a large but insolvent housing GSE. Did it ever cross your mind, when dealing with these compensation packages, to say, hey, this is a tough year, the housing market's in a bad place, the taxpayers are on the hook for the government enterprises, let's revisit this, use some common sense on the executives' pay for this year? The problem is, at this point in time, where we're at, hell, there's even Occupy Wall Street demonstrations as you were developing these. Wouldn't it have been more prudent on your part? And I'm not in your shoes, but I'm in mine, and I deal with folks when I go home every week that want to know about executive compensation with taxpayer dollars. Wouldn't it have been more prudent just say, let's take a step back. This is a special time. We're dealing with the worst economic problem since the Great Depression. We're not out of it yet. To say, let's dial them back. Now let me give you an example. You guys oversee the home loan bank, the Home Loan Bank of New York, for example, that you folks oversee. Executive compensation is $4.9 million. Make that clear. 4.9 million. It's a much smaller entity, but it is profitable. Wouldn't have been. I mean, there's plenty of room there for reasonableness, unless you think you were just going to lose your executive staff if that happened.
Basically, that last point, Senator, is the biggest concern that has driven where these compensation levels have settled out. I do not believe that the federal home loan banks generally are the appropriate market comparables for Fannie and Freddie. They are much simpler and much smaller institutions. They employ far fewer people. But I certainly take the point, Senator, and I mean, I agree with it. And I mean, the one thing I can say, I don't know if it will help you or not, but you know, we set these. There were judgments made in '09 to set both the compensation structure and the level. Since that time, I have, with each opening of an executive position, and we have had plenty of those, worked to step down the compensation. So just like we're trying to gradually withdraw Fannie and Freddie's footprint in the market, just like we're trying to gradually shrink their retained portfolio, we're trying now to go from where we set it in '09 to gradually pull compensation back further.
Okay. Just as a sidebar, and I've run out of time, but just as a sidebar, I will just say this. $12.2 million is a pile of money. I mean, it's a pile of money. And when we're dealing with folks in the state of Montana or in the state of Tennessee or in the state of Colorado that are having a hard time paying their electric bills or paying for their prescription drugs or making their books balance at the end of the month, and they see these kind of compensations come down, utilizing taxpayer dollars, there's a reason people are protesting on the streets.
Yes, I understand that, Senator. I think that the point that you're making, the concern that Americans have about this, are something that I well understand, and I appreciate them, and we will continue to focus on this issue and see what we can do to further address the concerns you're raising, Senator.
And thank you for being here. I only say this because there are folks in this body that want to see Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac done away with so that there is no backstop on the housing. This doesn't help. This doesn't help. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.